So welcome to Seattle, Missouri. it just won't stop raining. This has been the craziest year with rain. It's just constantly raining. I lived in Silverdale, Washington. That's right there on the Sound. I lived right next to Dyes Inlet, actually. I was in the military on submarine. So Puget Sound and all that, all those waterways were connected. And it just rained all the time. I was pretty young back then, didn't realize the emotional effect that rain and clouds and had on people. But now I realize that Seattle's a pretty depressing area because of the weather patterns. It does get onto your nerves after a while with all the rain. But we try to do the best we can. Springtime is going to be one of the more difficult times living off grid. The rest of the year is not too bad. With the winter, you're ready for winter. You got your firewood, you got your wood stove, you got your canned chicken. What's better? Nothing's better. It's just winter's perfect. Summertime, not too bad. We're underneath these trees. It gets pretty hot outside, but in the house it doesn't ever get, I don't know, above 90. Pretty tolerable. A couple fans and we're fine. Fall time, it's just beautiful. You get a mild rain occasionally, but nothing like this. Well, with the spring, you got rain, you got cold, and then it's hot. It goes back and forth quite a bit, so you don't know if you need firewood or a propane heater or nothing. Of course, during the spring, we're trying to raise chickens, new baby chickens. It's just the time that you're supposed to raise chickens. So we got them in the house. We'd love to be able to take them outside because by now it should be warm enough that they could spend the night outside, but it's not. It's just getting down into the low 40s at night. It's crazy weather. So cutting the grass has been quite the challenge. I've been doing it in patches whenever I can, the dry patch here or there, but it was getting so overgrown. It had been over 2 weeks since I cut last. And of course that's pretty hard on the mower. You go as slow as you can. But yesterday there was a pause in the rain for about 2 days. And I walked around the yard to see if I'd sink anywhere. As long as I didn't go in the garden. Of course, we couldn't till the garden. That's another thing I forgot to mention. So Carolyn's out there with a shovel in the mud, doing the best she can with the garden this year. But I got out there and I was able to cut the grass with the lawnmower yesterday, finally. Of course, it's raining again. And no sooner did I get it cut, and that's what I was expecting. I waited as long as I could. And so right before it rained yesterday, around noon, I cut the grass, and by 2 o'clock it was raining pretty hard. Give me another 2 weeks before I got to cut it again. But it was getting pretty dangerous. I've told you in the past that I'm only going to cut it every 2 weeks because the gas price is just outrageous. And the lawnmower takes a gallon of gas, so there's $4.19. But I was walking through and there was a snake in the yard, so I am expecting snakes to be a problem this year. I mean, you got to be careful. Fortunately, I saw it, of course. You just got to be on high alert when you're walking through there. I tried to keep the path down to the chicken yard pretty cleared up for Carolyn, so she doesn't have to dodge snakes. Well, me too. What are you going to do? The gas prices are just so high you can't afford to run the lawnmower. I went to the gas station the other day to get $9 worth of gas, 1 gas can and 4 gallons in the truck. That's all I wanted, and it was over $50 and $50 for 9 gallons. It was just, how can you live that way? So as you know, we've converted from running the gasoline generator to the propane generator. The cost has been much cheaper. I explained this in a few videos now, and I probably won't stop because it's just a really good idea. The propane generator, using propane right now, is saving us about $1 per run time. When we were nomads, it would have been so much easier just to carry around propane tanks instead of all that gasoline. In the propane, we could put it in the back of the truck and it stored easy, whereas the gasoline, it could spill, it stink. Well, the other day I was talking to you about the price of what it costs to cut grass. It costs $4.19 to cut the grass. So that's $8 or what? I guess $8.30 per month to cut grass for 3 months. And it's just something that we're going to have to deal with. Now, as summer comes along and it stops raining so much, I may be able to extend that out even further, like every 3 weeks instead of every 2 weeks. I'm trying to keep our costs down. Of course, then you don't wear out your lawnmower as fast either when you're cutting grass less frequently. As long as you go slow, You don't want to overextend your lawnmower with tall grass. Then I got to talking about what happens if there is no gas, or gas prices are so high you just can't afford it anymore. And I suggested that maybe, you know what, you just forget about the grass. I can go out with a sickle bar and sickle mow it by hand. I did that when we first got here. It's a lot of work, but I wouldn't have to do the entire place. I could just do like the path down to the chicken coop or the path down to the garden and let the rest just grow up. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal. It's off-grid life. It's a homestead. Who cares? I know in the city folks, they just can't seem to grasp this idea. So when I said this, I got a lot of people say, get goats, get goats, get goats. And I always wondered, did you ever actually raise goats? Goats are terrible. I mean, if you are wanting goats for a specific reason to farm with, maybe. But they are stubborn animals and terrible. I raised them. I thought it was a good idea. We were going to get goat milk out of them. That was our big plan. So we had 2 females. I guess we had 2 females. Both of them were pregnant when we bought them. And I only remember one actually having, oh no, let me take you back. I was wrong. We had 2 females. One was already producing milk. The other one was pregnant. We tried to milk the one that was already giving milk. She refused. I mean, head butted and reared up. She just would not cooperate. So we ended up having to butcher her because we just couldn't get the milk out of her. So we butchered her. And goat meat isn't like the greatest meat in the world. I mean, if there's nothing else to eat, fine. But my ex-wife and my daughter wouldn't eat it. I think we ended up giving it away. So it's pretty tough. So unless you're farming it and you like goat meat, or you have a way to cook it or so, whatever, it's really not anything great. But the goat milk, of course, everybody talks about goat milk, how healthy that is. Right now, there's a baby formula shortage, and a lot of people are talking about giving goat's milk. That is not medical advice. I have no idea if that's good for your baby or not. YouTube, because I'm sure YouTube's going to say medical misinformation. I don't know. I'm just saying that's what a lot of people are saying. Now, the other one had the little goat, and we sold him. But he was aggressive. Boy, he was aggressive. Even little, he was aggressive. We brought him in for a while, and he would play with the dogs, but then he started headbutting everything. He had those little bitty nubby antlers, and he'd ram into a dog's head, and boy, I mean, and we had golden retrievers. One of them was 100 pounds. He was huge. And that little lamb hit him. Oh, he was aggravated. That poor dog. So they're pretty rough. Just like the first goat that we tried to milk, she just would not tolerate it. Then the second goat got sick and died from the pregnancy, unfortunately. Now, to use them to mow grass, that's what everybody says. You got to have them to mow grass. That way you don't have to worry about your grass. You don't have to mow anymore. Well, this is clearly coming from people who have never had a goat. First of all, a goat will devastate an acre of grass, what, in a month, 2 weeks? So we have an acre and a half here. That's one goat. So we wouldn't be able to get any milk from the goat. We'd have to buy a pregnant goat like we did in the past. Then we have to get rid of the goat. And then you'd want to milk the goat until, end of time, so it would continue to produce milk. This is from a goat that would be friendly. Now, the goat that we bought that was pregnant, she was pretty friendly, but like I said, she died. So you take that risk. So our acre and a half includes a lot of wooded area. We wouldn't want the goat down there, so that means we don't even have enough property for a goat. The goat would just devastate this place. And you would have to feed it more than just grass, shrubs, and just everything. It would have, because if you look up the dietary needs, you have to feed it a bunch of stuff. Well, of course, we don't want it down in the woods eating everything, so we'd have to buy it feed. So now we're feeding an animal that we don't want in the first place. The only reason we're getting a goat, remember, was to mow the grass. So devastating the lawn, having to feed it extra food, and then when it devastated the lawn, the only thing we could feed it would be food. Now, the goats we had 2 peach trees in the backyard. Before we knew anything about goats, we bought the goats just like, everybody else. Go get goats. And you don't realize the devastation they'll put you through. So the 2 peach trees, they ate all the bark off the 2 trees raw. And those 2 trees died. And they were healthy, producing peach trees. They were some of the best peaches I've ever had in my life. And I wish I could remember the name of those peach trees, but I can't. And so those peaches were gone. It was just devastating. Well, just imagine, they'll do that to everything around here. We got blackberries, they'd eat the blackberries, they'd eat the strawberries, they'd eat everything. So you'd have to really control how you fed them. So that means you don't have a fence. You got to put them on a rope and make sure they can't get to anything. You'd have to consider winter time. There's nothing for a goat to eat during the winter, so that means you would have to give it only feed. Now, let's think about this. $8 a month to run the lawnmower, just over $8 to run the lawnmower, or let's call it $20 or $30 to feed a goat for the 3 months during the summer, because you got to give them grass plus extra feed. So, you know, probably $20 for feed, a bag of feed, last them a month maybe. And then through the winter, you would have to give them exclusively nothing but feed. So you give them feed, so let's call that $100 a month. So this thing that is supposed to be saving money, because that's what everybody said, that the goats are going to save me money on gasoline to cut my grass. It's not going to save me a dime. And I get this a lot. I get people who will give me $100 solution for a $5 problem. And I don't understand that thinking. It doesn't even take that much research. Get on Google, you find out, okay, what does it cost to feed a goat? Can goats live on grass? And you get all the information, and before you know it, you're like, why would I want a goat? There is a new button on the screen. It's either here or right here. It's been here the whole time throughout this video. It says View Product. In that, you'll see a list of products that I use regularly. A generator, the Berkey, some solar panels, cheaper ones that I've seen. The solar panels aren't what I have. And if you'll click that and check out those products, I'd appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to think through decisions before you spend money, so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.